What's going on? Alright, so this is part one. Building the Tamiya TT02 drift spec car. Like I said, I know it's been out for a while. It's my first video though. See everybody doing, the ready to runs. Saw a few people doing the drag car custom builds, the slashes and the DR10s. And it's kind of more fun than just buying the car and driving it, a little more personal. So figured I would try it out. My first time building one. Seemed like a fairly easy car to start with, although I'm not sure since it's my first. But a lot of options you can do to upgrade it, get more speed, aluminum parts, hop-ups, all that. This is just going to be basic. May upgrade the motor after we get her running, but this is step one. Let's begin. So, open some packages up. One nice thing about this kit, apparently the other Tamiya kits, TT01, TT02s, come with bushings, and these come with the ball bearings. They also come with the aluminum shocks, which is pretty cool. A little bit of an upgrade. And it comes with a little bit, I don't know, I guess it's Tamiya, however, tomato, their own grease. Not much, so I would say don't spill it. But this will be the spur gear. And it shows you exactly where to add the grease. I'm going to kind of dry fit everything just to make sure I have it correctly. Also has a piece where it suggests when you break the plastics off, break the parts off the plastic. If you have any of those little tabs, use a modeling knife and cut them off. Try and get it as smooth as you can. Some people may suggest a Dremel, but if you go too far, you may damage the part, so I would suggest the modeling knife. Alright, let's see. Pop this grease open. I don't know how messy this is going to get, but oh, it's already coming out. It does say to add the grease here. If you have a nice little glove to put on, probably would have been better. But if it needs grease, I would suggest to add a handsome amount. Just to make sure everything runs smooth. That is a big deal. If it's not greased enough, or if you forget to add it, it's going to run dry. Not going to run smooth. Now, I by no means am a master at this. Been into RCs for a little while, got out of it, got back into it. And it's actually a lot of fun. So I thought building them would be cool, like I said earlier. I think I added a little too much, but it should work itself out. They really want you to grease this up good. Not typically a very talkative person, not good on camera, especially in person. So I'm a little too quiet, just focused. They do give you a 72 tooth spur gear. Being that I'm still newer to the hobby, I know you can upgrade these spur gears and the pinions, go with aluminum, go with you know, different teeth and all that. I'm gonna keep it what do you call it, I'm gonna keep it factory for right now, just see how she runs. Once I get to know a little bit more about her, I will decide if I'm going to change all that. Another ball bearing. A little bit of love on it. Figure I'd rather add more than not enough. Hey, you know what? 2 pieces were missing. The shaft. The little pin. Looks like they are right here. Man, they are small. And everything came out but those pins. Alright, there we go. Some of these screws are so tiny, try not to open these bags all the way. It'll fall all over. So when I looked on the internet, on YouTube, most of the videos did not show complete builds. They showed guys that had them built, or showed the unboxings and then showed them completely built. And to me, that was dope to see the different vehicles. I know one guy had one, he got it up to 97 mile an hour. Another guy's mainly kept them stock, but nobody actually showed the build, the complete start to finish. Hey, I'm a newbie, so thought it'd be interesting to make, and hopefully you guys dig it. Alright, so we gotta take this off. that little pin. I don't know if you guys can see that. That little pin right there. Forgot to add that. That is key. And then after the pin, some more grease. Oh. Hopefully we're not overkilling this grease too much. Now, set this back up. That is the second ball bearing. Man, that little bit of grease gets all over quick. The other piece that I wasn't too sure about. I'm gonna assume is this guy. I know it's hard to. They call it the bevel pinion gear. It says GB2 is the part number, but they're just sitting loosely in a bag. So I'm gonna hope that these are the right parts. Somebody can correct me in this video if not, because as you can see, you also have these. By the photo, I'm gonna guess it's the ones that are not connected, but these are actually the G. But this says GB too. So we're gonna roll with these. There's no markings on them. Just gonna hope for the best. So there you go. Step one. Only took 13 minutes. My lucky number, 13. Bam. What's that tell you? It's going to be a YouTube gold mine, right, fellas and ladies? All right, next. Go with another one of these. Another one of these propeller shafts. It's a C5. They do give you two. The other one I already popped off before I started this video, just to see how those little tabs. You can see that a little bit. So you got to shave that off. So it's nice and smooth. Watch your fingers. These blades are extremely sharp. Nice. Huge difference, by the way. If you were thinking about maybe not needing to do it, I would suggest cutting these off. Massive difference. That's so smooth. The other one, a little bit rougher. I went a little bit too ginger on it. So it looks like we're going to do the same thing. Grease this up. Oh, nice. Like I said, I would, I don't know how much further we're going to need this grease, or if how many other parts are going to need it, but I do have some marine grease that I have for my other ready to run vehicles. I'm assuming would be okay, but make sure you put a good bit on so it lasts a while and sticks around a while and runs smooth. All right, second ball bearing for this bad boy. They also say to put a small amount inside the bearing. So, I mean, it's kind of overkill because it's sliding on to where you just put it, but the more the merrier, right? And then again, see here, you got the 2 ball bearings there, so you actually need 2 ball bearings for this one as well. Looks like you just double it up. Yep, you do. So again, with the grease, I know these parts are small, it's hard to, but squeeze a little bit in there ever so slightly. Fill it up like that. You can see that. See that yellow in there? That's the grease. It's not my dirty fingertips. And then again, top off a little grease on this pinion gear. Snap this bad boy on, and we're rocking and rolling. Grease everywhere. Love it. Now you can see that grease. Now, next part, C4, which actually will be this big guy right here. Boom. So it looks like it came off pretty smooth. Oh, a little bit on this side. Take that off. I'm sure I'll find those later. I'm trying to do something and they get in the way. All right, now one side slides on. Boom. There you go. Second side. Slides on. Boom. Look at that. We're rocking and rolling. Now you're going to add this to the chassis. It's actually a pretty, like I said before in the my other videos, pretty solid chassis. I'm digging it. I mean, again, for a car that's under 200 bucks. It is plastic, but it's pretty solid plastic. It's not bad, not at all. Now you can tell here. Obviously, this would be the rear of the chassis. See, that's for the spur gear to go into. Right there. The front's a little different. You can see that. Seems a little bit off. Let's see why. I don't like that at all. Interesting. So you are going to have to play with these, it looks a little bit, just to make sure they're lined up 100%. Much better. Grease everywhere. I love it. Grab a towel. That or latex or a nitrile glove when you use the grease. Alright, next we need some screws in one of these. I'm going to assume it's one of these bad boys. Sorry, I'm left-handed. My camera's turned to the right, so. Grab a couple of these bad boys. They do have flat heads and the pan heads. If you guys are not familiar with the difference, see how that's rounded, and that's kind of got a flatter head. For this, it requires the flat heads. I'm sorry, the pan heads. It requires the pans, ones that look like that. These would be a flat head. Flat like that. Terrible focus. So next step requires 2 pan head screws. Obviously a screwdriver. We're going to attach the shaft to the chassis. That is the next step. Looks like D. We need the D. Yep, D2. D2, this little guy right here. Would have been nice if they did the numbers in like a white, does get a little hard, but honestly, can't complain about the small things, right? Those tabs came off pretty good. A little bit to shave off right in the center of it. Slightly tough spot. So you're gonna snap this on. You guys can see that right over that ball bearing right here. Pop that bad boy on, and then both screws, you can see the screw holes. 2 screws through that. That'll lock the shaft down. Get my little baby screwdriver. Could use a drill for this. I do have a drill, but I feel like you're actually tapping this plastic as you put these screws in. So I'm gonna do them probably by hand. Although I know a lot of people recommend not using them on RCs because of, if you go too hard or if you're trying to take them out, it'll strip the screws very easily, which is definitely true. I mean, this thing is, I think it was like 15 bucks at Walmart. Eventually I'd like to get a nice Milwaukee or DeWalt, but to be honest, this thing works great for what it is. I also have it, the one thing I like about this, I don't know if the DeWalts and the Milwaukees and stuff have them, but it's the chuck. It is just a magnetic quick change. It's not an actual chuck like a bigger drill that you can adjust the size, but you can adjust the strength, how much torque it has from 1 to 5, and then it has a drill setting. So I usually keep everything on 1. And then that way it's not, but still I've stripped screws. So if you're not very familiar with them and not handy, I would suggest not using them. Double check, make sure that piece is all the way down. She's nice and tight now. A little bit of wiggle to her, which means those screws need to go down more. See, that's on 1, so as soon as it requires any resistance, it just locks up. Now she's solid. Solidly locked in place. Now, I'm not sure, I know people, do not prefer these Phillips head, prefer the, what do you call them, like the M1, M2, M3, M4s, the hex heads, the Allen keys, which the Phillips can strip out, but that's what they give you. I'm sure you could replace them with the hex heads. I'm not going to right now. I actually do have those for the drill as well. But I'm going to use everything that comes with the kit, see how it works. And then we'll go from there. Oh, I missed a part. So, let me see here. Almost missed it. You're going to need the bottom part, which is why I got so much shake in mine. You're going to need D15, which is the bottom to that, which I did not even see. If it wants to come off, that's this guy right here. So, again, cut these little tabs off. Watch your precious fingertips. And we're going to have to pop these back out. Wow, they really are in there. Good. So, you see, even with this being on a 1 setting, it locked those in there. I took the screwdriver to loosen them, so I didn't strip them. That's where a lot of people go wrong. And, now, where you screwed that D2 piece in to hold the top of the shaft down, that D15 piece goes right in front of it. Lay that down nicely, and it'll help you lock everything in place. That's the part that I missed. Although I don't notice a big difference. A little bit. I don't like how this shaft is barely long enough. Again with the grease. Now I'm probably going to start these off with a screwdriver too. I just don't want to strip that plastic. If you strip that plastic, you know, you could try to go up a size and screw, but it's not going to work great. It's going to weaken your build. I'm also right now not using Loctite. The blue, of course, that you can unscrew, not the red. But maybe something you want to look into. I may do that later if any of these start, you know, getting a little loosey-goosey. But for right now, we're just going to throw it together. Alright, she's in like Flynn. Alright, page 1 down. There you go. See her in there? See the spur gear sticking up, spinning that shaft. Now, I do notice the shaft has a little bit of play. See that rocking? You can barely notice it, but Now, being a first-time builder and only running ready-to runs previously, I'm going to assume it wants a little bit of play. They do give you a spare, so if anything does go wrong with it, you should be fine. I'm assuming you want to have a little bit of play in it, but it just seems a little short. But again, it may be supposed to be built like that. On to the next, the differential. So for this, you will have the anti-wear grease. You see they provide it for you. This is where in the past on some of my vehicles, I've used marine grease, just watching other people suggesting it. My local hobby shop suggested it. I'm going to go with what they provide, again, using everything in the build for the build. That's something you're going to have to see when you start running it. If you know, upgrade the motor. I know it's just to jump around a little bit, it's a 540. Now it is a sport tuned motor. From what I hear, they're a little bit better, but you know, if you go to a brushless, the ESC that it comes with can actually handle a brushless, it does say. That being said, if I went brushless, I would probably upgrade the ESC eventually. Then you might want to get into aluminum gearing and all that, but for right now, completely stock. We're gonna run her, see how she runs, and after that, now we're doing the differential gears, which you can see here. These come separately, as do these. Just so you know when you got them, make sure you don't lose them. And everything's in so many different languages. Looks like we're gonna need mostly all of these G parts. Again, they do give you two, but you're making two differentials, 4-wheel drive. So gonna need both sets. Make sure all those little tabs are cut off and it's nice and smooth. Especially with this stuff, guys, with the gearing, I'm sure if you leave those tabs, there's a chance they may, you know, catch up in other stuff and bind up, cause your car not to run as smooth or anything like that. So take the extra few seconds, make sure they're nice and smooth when you take them, after you pop them off. What I like to do, once I know every single part's off of it, in the box for trash, just to try and straighten that. There's so many parts. I mean, they're going to be all, I hope you have a big enough workbench, because they're going to be everywhere. That one's good. sure this can get a little tedious, but if you're going to do it right. Now, one thing it looks like we're missing is these guys. Oh, there we go. No, these were loose. They were not connected to any of those. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. We used those on the shaft. So never mind. We're good. 2 of each. One on the bottom, one on the top. So never mind. These are connected. Had to double check myself. Obviously, the bigger ones, you got 4 of these small guys. I know they're so small, they're hard to see, but the 2 smaller ones, one's going to lay inside of this cup, facing up. With, I guess the best way to say it would be those bevels would be facing up. Now I'm going to put this together dry for a second just to make sure we have everything correct here. Again, as hop-up parts, they may have aluminum differentials or gears. I don't know. I didn't really factor that in. But if that's something you're interested in, you can always look that up. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments if they do have them, if they're worth it. Alright, then you drop that in once you put all 4. I know it's kind of hard to see, but... And then the second one you put going face down. That's going to connect them all. They should run smooth. Now again, this is dry. And then you got the big boy gear. Put it with the tabs facing into that cup. They snap in a particular way or just any way? Looks like just any way. Boom. Now again, that's a dry run. Now I'm going to take that all off and put that the anti-wear grease on there. I would suggest not with your fingers. Maybe if you have a, what we got laying around, popsicle stick, cut it down. I'm going to use a toothpick. See if that works. It does say put the grease on all of the gears. Just verifying, yeah. The fronts of them, the back. Now they only give you a small amount. Now it's obviously only for the differentials, but you can see it's not even filled. So, and you got to do 2 of them. So I would say just make sure you put a decent amount on there, but save enough, or maybe put both together at the same time, which is what I'm going to do here, and just kind of see how far this grease is going to get you. Because I'm not really sure. Like I said, there's not a ton of it, and I do have that marine grease as backup, but I'd prefer to use what they give you. So it's thick enough that it's not going to run all over. You kind of just have to roll it around. I mean, you can always go back later and add more. I know the differentials can be a pain to take apart, but if you have to, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And if that helps it run better, then you gotta do it. Now with these little gears, once you put them on that post, oh, lost one. It says to add that anti-wear grease. It's gonna be hard because it's so small and they're flip-flopping around. So I'm gonna try to put as much as I can in, and then where I put it, face that down. So if I need some more, I can put it on the part that's facing up. Alright, so now that I got it on the one side, I'm going to try and slide this in with that grease facing down on the gears. See, I got it in there. And now I'm going to put a little bit more on the opposite side. Once you start spinning these differentials, it'll start spreading out too. You know, if you get a little more on one side than the other, it should be fine. Especially once you actually take it out, heats up a little bit, it'll get a little bit smoother and it'll work itself around as long as you put enough in there. Like I said, better to have a little bit extra than not enough. Obviously you don't want to put too much and clog your diff up. So we got that down. Next, this guy's gonna go like so. Now you're gonna put the bevels, you know, the first one you put upward like that. The second one you're gonna put like that, going into the gears. Any of you guys that have already done this already know much more than me, but already know that. Now it says put a little grease on the back of this. So we are greasing this bad boy up. All right, now, oh, put that back on again with the tabs facing down. Make sure they clip in. They have little notches on this, so make sure it's in the correct. See, it'll slide right down nice and easy. And then 4 of those pan head screws will hold this bad boy down. Before I do that, I'm going to actually put this other one together. You know what? Let's screw it together so it doesn't fall apart. So you'll need 8 in total, 2 diffs, 4 on each. Again, it's those pan heads, not the flats. The flats, I'm pretty sure, are for the bottom of the chassis. That seems to be how most RCs are, so they're nice and flat. They don't get caught up. They may use them somewhere else. I'm not 100% yet. Oh, what's this? Now, they don't label the screws, unfortunately. Very, very unfortunate. So the other two that we use to hold that shaft down, I really don't know. They look so alike, it's hard to tell if they're different. They're saying these are the MA5 by 8. They're 2 by 8 millimeter. And the other ones were 3 by 10 millimeter. I'm not 100%. Let's find out. If so, interesting. So it looks like they only give you 3 of these longer ones. You can see that. Compared to this guy, they give you a bunch of. So some of you guys may know in the comments, I believe the longer ones are the 10s, the 3 by 10, but we're gonna find out. As you can see, this does not want to go down as nice as those other 8s did. But I'm going to put the 10s in, these longer ones, to hold that shaft down. So guys, if I messed you up on that, again, these are longer ones. I'm hoping that's right. The screws were literally just all in one bag. So I really hope, I mean, it does make sense the longer ones would hold the shaft down because these are so small. I mean, look, you barely see me holding that. So, and they do give you more room. If you look at the posts that you drill into, they are like, you know, maybe that long. So I would say rock with those longer ones to hold the shaft down. My apologies if I screwed that up. Now I believe these are for these little stainless silver screws. Barely see it, but they are for the diff. You know, again, you could just tell by the size of them. These I would do by hand. They're so fine. And just get maybe 2 or 3 turns on it and go around and put each one in just to make sure they're all lined up with these small holes. I know they can be a real pain in the neck, especially if they're not lined up. I have a Red Cap Volcano that I've upgraded, done a bunch of stuff to, and I was having issues with the diff. One of the hubs cracked, so I had to take the diff apart and replace it. Wound up having the differential case crack on me, and I took that thing apart, replaced the parts 4 or 5 times, and I just said skip it. If it does it again, I went on eBay and got some brand new ones that are all put together, because they were just such a pain to take apart. All the grease getting all over, having to clean it up so you can work on it, re-grease it, this, that. And these screws to get this all lined up were just brutal. I'm hoping that was just a volcano issue and these are smooth, because they strip so easy. Against my own advice, I don't even think that's big enough. It's just going to strip it. So, by hand it is. Even if you have a smaller tip screwdriver, I would highly recommend it. These screws are just so tiny. Try to make sure too, when you put these screws on, push down firm or they will strip very easily. And you can feel as soon as they tighten. That should be good enough. You shouldn't have to kill them. There you go. It's one together. That is number one. Yeah, number two. All over again. These little parts are tough, man. Once you get through these, parts get a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to work on. You don't have, grease flying all over the place. Now again, make sure you take, that's what holds those 4 smaller gears. Make sure you don't throw that out. Looks just like a X. And everything's off there, so again, boom, trash. That one's cleaned. So guys, I'll take the time now in midstream, to say, if you like this, please smash the thumbs up, subscribe, as all the YouTubers do. But in honesty, not doing it for that. Just it's my first video, and I watch a lot of guys. I don't know how the whole YouTube thing works, if it's cool to shout them out, or if I should ask first. But I watch a lot of guys. I try and always like it and comment, subscribe. That stuff, that's not why I'm doing this. But they help a lot, man. Some of them videos, there's too many people to name. Like I said, I don't know if it's okay to. I hope it would be, but don't know how you YouTube universe works that. But past, I want to say 6 months, maybe less, where I got back into RCs. I've been watching all these YouTubers, and a lot of them do live streams, and I noticed the big ones, the ones that have hundreds of thousands of followers, they never respond, and I get you got tens of thousands of comments, which is cool, but then they have all this knowledge and they drop stuff, and if you have a question, it's impossible to get a hold of them. So I tend to gravitate towards the guys that, in my mind, should be a lot bigger than they are, but they're still down to earth. If you have a question, you can actually ask them, and it's not just if it's something that they sell or are sponsored by, but they'll give their honest opinion, which to me, that's the guy I'm going to watch every video. Guys like OMG RC, Joe, solid dude. Does a few lives a week. Joe, I hope it's cool to shout you out. Does a bunch of lives, man. If you got questions, I mean, even if he's doing a live about, I don't know, his drag racing or his other cars, you can ask him anything. And I mean, if he has any kind of knowledge on it, he'll respond to it. And if he doesn't know, he'll just say that. That's what's cool. He doesn't try to bullshit, or, excuse my language, but BS or whatnot. If he can help you, he will. Good dude. Earl Moorhead, I hope it's cool. I've been watching some of his lately, trying to get into the drag scene myself. And, man, his videos break stuff down so good. Great dude to watch. So as we're building this second one, get this grease up on there. So again, drop this one in. Those, oh, my backwards. With those bevels facing up. And then this bad boy. See it with all those. Don't forget to put your, oh, nice, right in the grease. Anti-wear grease. Lube them up. I went pretty heavy on this one this time. So I'm hoping once these go in, we can spin them. Oh yeah. Definitely starting to run a little low. I think I went a little heavier in this one than the other one, so might have to be something to look out for. To make sure, I have to remember which one that is. If I have to add a little bit more, no biggie. Pain in the ass taking it apart, but it is what it is. And again, anybody watching, if anybody watches, I am by no means a pro. This is my first ever build, but I love doing this kind of stuff. I love RCs, so this is a way different aspect of this compared to just going out and buying a Team Corrali or a Red Cat or a Traxxas or Arm, whatever your flavor is. This is a way different aspect, and I think it's pretty badass. I know when I got into it, I just bought a Volcano for my oldest son and I. We took them out, bashed them, had a ton of fun. Kind of got a little bored when winter hit. They couldn't handle the snow. I mean, they could, but not the heavy snow. And then, we broke some stuff on ours. Our RC shop we went to at the time closed down. So we kind of fell out of it. And then recently I kind of picked it back up. And started working on them myself and learning how to do all that stuff. That's a big part of the hobby, unless you're gonna, you know, go to your local hobby shop and have them fix it, which works. Me, I kind of like to do all the tooling myself, just so I understand how the vehicle works. But it's also trying to find time to do all this, which is the other difficult part. Sometimes it's nice to be able to just drop it off at your local hobby shop, pick it up in 2 days, and you're back to bashing or driving. But it is still good to know. You know, even if you guys never build a car, just to know how to put a differential together. I mean, that's something that I'm pretty sure, you know, mostly all your vehicles have differentials. I'm sure not every single one, but I'm sure a lot do. So you might not want to do a build, but if you ever have a diff problem and you watch this, now you know how to take your diff apart. You can see what parts are in there and where they're at. And if you ever got to fix them or replace them and re-grease them, you know, this will kind of help you towards that too. I know it's a extremely long video. Kind of thought I'd be halfway done by now. Thought about maybe speeding this video up like some guys do, just times it by 10 or something. But honestly, if you want to see parts, you'll watch it. You can always skip around yourself. And I don't really know how to do that. Alright, this diff is about finished. And we should be on to the next step here in a second. Like I said, these are the small tedious parts of the build that most people don't show. But I'm going to show everything start to finish. I've also seen some other, you know, YouTubers. They probably do more builds in a month than I have vehicles right now, which I think is awesome. You know, people send them stuff or they just go and buy stuff. I think that's super cool. I love the wrenching stuff. Love getting into that. So this is done. Both diffs complete. Now we're on to the next part, which is installing the differentials. And oh, really? So those long screws I used, not good for that shaft. I don't think. I think it was the smaller ones. But hopefully that didn't mess my piece up, because that part's part of the chassis. First time builder, I'm going to run into these things. Hopefully I run into them and saves you guys some headache. see. I think it, I don't know, man. Looking at the rest of these directions, it says, mentions these MA2, these 3x10 millimeters. MA2 3x10, need four, you need 4 there, you need 2 here. Wait a minute. MA2 3x10. Don't ask me why I'm keeping these in the bag when I got a magnetic dish with a couple red cat screws in it. This should be a big help. Into the trash box. Now it's saying they have different threads. I see here, okay. So if you have a magnetic dish, it will help a lot. You can separate the screws in there and you won't lose them. All the wrenching I've been doing over the years, I just got this recently. My wife got it for me. Man, I don't know how I did not have these sooner, because they are a lifesaver. Especially dealing with RCs, small vehicles. Having these little screws is a lifesaver. But trying to make sure they give you every screw is a whole nother thing in itself. Alright, I'm going to break these videos up. This one's a little longer than I wanted, but those diffs were a little tedious. So join me for part 2 if you're interested. I'm going to be installing the differentials, putting the casings on, adding the arms, all that stuff. Alright, appreciate you guys watching. If you did, like I said, if you like it, hit the thumbs up. If you want, you can hit the thumbs down too. All good.